Jean-François, I guess I'll start with the article in Le Devoir because it's been kind of getting a bit of reaction, and I call it heat perhaps from some quarters. So can you just summarize exactly what this is about? I will say you start the article by writing, I spend too much time on X, so X Twitter, and you confess to that. Is that where this started?
Well, that's where it started because that's the first clue I had from someone said, well, my friend is a teacher in Villeray. He's not really nationalistic, but he can't stay because he feels that the students from immigrant families' views on Quebec are so harsh that he'd rather leave the city. So I tried to track him down, and through the person who had posted that, said, well, he doesn't want to talk to reporters. But I saw there was a number of comments on the X file that went in that direction. But then, so I left that on the corner of my computer, saying, "Well, this is intriguing." And then I wrote another column in Le Devoir that, given the ethnic composition of classes, there were fewer Native Quebecers in public schools in Montreal than more in private schools. And so I said, so the French language as a common language in the corridors seemed to be better in private French schools. And then I had all these teachers writing to me and says, well, you just don't get that. In some important traditionally French private schools in Montreal, English is now the dominant common language amongst students outside the class. And so I thought that was really something. So I delved a little more, and I had corroboration from other teachers. And the other aspect was that in classes and in schools where Francophone Quebecers are in the minority, there develops a culture of hatred towards the French culture and the Québécois, whom they call Keb, say Keb. I didn't know about Québécois being called Keb, but I'm a late comer because now I've met a lot of people saying, no, it's been going on for 5 or 6 years. And then beyond these testimonies, I went to a person, Raphael Provost, whose job it is to intervene in 1,000 schools per year with his organization for tolerance. And he said, well, this is not new to me. I hear this all the time, and it's the job of our organization to try and diffuse that. But I have to admit that this is going on in more and more classes in Montreal, even beyond.
So it's one thing to say that's happening in the class. You're saying this is happening outside of school. Most people would say that's not an issue. What's happening in the class?
Well, let me read just a couple of testimonies from a teacher. While we were in the middle of a discussion about our values as citizens, one of the 2 Francophone students in my group, so he was a minority, raised his hand to speak. That's when the whole group started laughing and booing, saying that the Kebs had no values and that our girls and women are actually sluts. I quickly intervened and was cut off by a tall guy of North African origin who said to me, Madame, you cannot understand because the Kebs have no culture. What can we say about my other student, a musician in the school string orchestra, who dared to play a little rigodon to brighten up our Christmas activity in class? The students started laughing at him, insulting him, and throwing objects at him. And there are others and others and others.
So I should point out, when you say Kebs, you're saying K-E-B-S, Québécois? Mm. That's what they're referring to here?
Yeah, that's the expression that is now used to describe the minority. And then people will know that better than I. Say, well, it's clear that when you have a greater mix of Francophones and people from immigration in a class or a school, this will not happen so much. But if you have a school where a clear majority is not native Quebecer, well, then this can blossom. Mm-hmm. And so we have numbers that show that in the island of Montreal, there are on 447 schools, 165 have a proportion of 66% or more students from immigrant backgrounds, 111 have 75% or more, and 43 have 85% or more. So it's clear that the conditions are there. It's not the cause, but it's a condition.
So what's to be done to fix this condition as you describe it?
Well, first, it's to go beyond, this columnist that just happened to fall over this phenomenon and really document it better. If this is the case in many schools, it is worrisome. It means that we have a problem with just a shared identity, and it's certainly not unidirectional. I mean, this Raphaël Provost is telling me, well, some of these immigrants say they are not Quebecers because they're not allowed to say they're Quebecers because French Quebecers tell them they are not. So, intolerance is going both ways. But if we want to create a common society, this is worrisome, and more has to be done. One of the teachers, I've been receiving a lot of testimonies since the publication of the article, said, well, in one of my classes, I'm doing in level secondaire 2, I'm doing a Quebec Parliament, and then everybody's involved in trying to find solutions for Quebec. That brings up a common Quebec identity. Well, that's an idea. There must be others.
Well, I mean, it's eye-opening as well. I will point out, though, and you said this, I think, off the top, everybody here is kind of off the record, right? Nobody wanted their name used, and I'm not sure why that's the case, Jean-François. If this is actually going on, wouldn't you want to have your name attached to this?
Well, I asked every one of them to have their names attached. Some are afraid of repercussions in their schools, in their classes. That's why I had 3, 4, and 5 corroborations from teachers in the same school. Some just don't. They're all afraid of repercussions, and they're not allowed to talk for the school. They don't want trouble, but they wanted that to be known. Now I have more professors coming out and saying you can use my name.
As you describe, I want to move on because we're going to run out of time. As you describe this, I think to myself, if this is the case, where is this coming from? Is this something learned from parents? Is this something that, by virtue of the fact that these people are here and are on social media all the time, it's coming from there? Like, why would this, I mean, we're hearing about it now. Are you suggesting perhaps this has been going on for a while?
Well, some people say it's going on for a while, but Raphaël Provost of Ensemble Against Discrimination is saying that the intolerance is growing, but it's growing on every other field, on sexual orientation, on racism, on intolerance is growing in the schools. That's what he says, and this is one facet of it. Of course, he's saying that, and others who know the problematic tell me, well, it depends if if the parents' immigrant experience has been positive, they will talk positively about Quebec at the dinner table, and the other side is true as well. So that's part of it. It's clear that having immigration as a focus of political discussion does not induce togetherness. I think that, and I feel that's because the immigration has not been correctly handled. It shouldn't be a topic every day in the news. But also, my point is also that when you have a weak Quebec identity, as Quebecers have, saying no to themselves in 2 independence referendum has a cost. And when others are looking at you as losers, it's part also of your weakened identity.
Yeah, but I imagine these people were not even around for the referendum, so why would that even come up?
Well, they know it. They know it. They know that we lost. In classes, the loser etiquette is very, very fast to be. And another teacher says, they're teenagers. Teenagers are very good at seeing the weakness in teachers, in a culture, in friends and colleagues, and they will go for the weakness, and this is part of the weakness.
Listen, before we run out of time, which we already have, what do you think about this story today? Canadian or the Salt Lake City, Utah people, the folks who invited the LA Kings to come there for an exhibition game. Kings said, yes, we'll come. No money, 0 taxpayer dollars involved in them playing there an exhibition, but to come to Quebec City, $7.5 million. It's,
we're losers. you know, why did we even offer a cent when there were Salt Lake City is not the first to have had the Kings for free. Others have had teams for free. Who negotiated that for the Minister of Finance, and why does he still have a job? That's my question.
We'll leave it at that.